go ahead and call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and see a symbol of perfect friendship among the united cultures.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular town council meeting of May 1st, 2019. Got the Pledge of Allegiance. First thing up then is approval of the agenda. Councilors, I don't have any changes to make. I'll entertain a motion.
I will go ahead and make a motion to approve this evening's agenda.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, council. Next item is the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to
All minutes.
approve this evening's consent agenda with the corrections added to what
The
is
April
this?
10th.
April 10th,
Yeah.
item C.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve tonight's consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, council. That brings us then to discussion items. First item up is Kaboom grant presentation. Krista?
Good evening. My name is Krista Cano. I am on the, I'm on the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee. And a couple months back, I was just interested in Edgewood and what kind of Parks and Rec things we had available. And I felt like we needed maybe another playground for kiddos. And especially something that is all-inclusive for special needs kids. So I work for Exer Play, which is a playground company. And so I heard about this grant application opportunity through Kaboom. And I put on social media that, was anybody interested in helping with this grant? And I got quite a bit of feedback from people. They were really interested in what we could do. One of those people was Bob Lang. He is a local resident that is a producer. And part of the application for the grant is a video contest. So we put together this video, and I hope that you guys enjoy it. And we hope to present the video and the written application for the grant by the end of this month.
New Mexico is known for outlaw Billy the Kid. Maybe if Billy had had a place to play, would have stayed out of trouble. Edgewood is a rural community of families spread out over miles. Parents might feel isolated and not connected. This is a disadvantage for kids, young adults, and their parents.
Back in 1999, we started the town was incorporated, and we started a Parks and Rec Advisory Committee of local residents. And we contributed to different events and ideas and forecasting the future of the town's recreational facilities, parks, open space, trails, and programs.
I'm Chelsea Dukes. I grew up in the East Mountains, and I feel it's a really shame that we have to drive all the way across town into Albuquerque in order to have quality playground equipment for our children to play on. The East Mountain community is so big, so much further than just a mile or two, and so to have a place for the people to come from Stanley, from Edgewood, from Estancia, I know people would come to play because we don't have anything out here.
A new park would mean a whole new life for me and my friends.
Getting a new playground for Edgewood would mean more accessibility for my family. We have our son Maximus, he's 18 months old, requires a special stroller, and it's impossible to get it onto the playground equipment that we have. So bringing new equipment, updated equipment would allow accessibility for him as well as others in East Town.
If we got a playground out here, it would be more challenging for me and my guys to play.
Hi, my name is Sarah Yuha. I have 2 children in the East Mountain community. One is 7, one is a year. We're running into the problem where we don't have a park here where both of our children can play. So to bring these kids together, we're having to go all the way to Albuquerque to find functional places where they can play together. We also have family members who have physical needs that aren't being met here. Our parks are not safe for children who have special needs. We need new equipment.
A new park would mean a lot to me because most kids, it's a habit that most kids spend their day inside because there's not anywhere to go outside. So the park would get kids outside because it'd be fun.
My son Thomas needs to have a special type of swing to be able to swing in a park, and it's very hard to find a park that has one of those available. So sometimes we have to drive long distances to be able to find a park that he can enjoy. A lot of parks around just have things that you can climb on and things like that, and obviously he's not going to be climbing on anything, but swings really calm him down and make him very, very happy. So it would be great to have some place where he could have a place that he could swing and play along with all the other kids as well.
And monkey bars are my favorite thing to do because it makes your hands stronger.
If we had a better place to hang out, we would use the picnic tables and the swings. Although we're older, we still use that kind of stuff. So
Here in Edgewood, half the students are on a free or reduced lunch program due to the rural nature of our community.
Edgewood is growing, and the pressure on what is here now is overtaking the ability of the community to cover the need. But then, that's why we're here talking to you, to help these kids develop into the kind of people you'd want to call good neighbors and great citizens. On behalf of the families in Edgewood, thanks for your time.
So does anybody have any questions?
So,
I just want to say thank you. I think this is fabulous.
Sure. Yeah, this has been a fun project, so I hope we're successful in getting the grant.
When will you know?
I don't know. They have various times that you can submit your application throughout the year. So we're aiming for the June date, and I'm not sure when they'll have an answer.
Okay.
Yeah. And the location, I don't think I mentioned that. We are thinking just outside, next to the pavilion here by the soccer fields. So we think that that would be a good centralized location. We have a lot of town events there, so that's the location we have in mind. Oh, I did want to mention that Kaboom does require that the applicants are able to fundraise up to $8,500 to $9,000 to supplement the grant. And Roger Holden did tell me that we were able to use the money from the Buy a Brick program that's already in place, and that there's about $5,500 already in that. So we would just need to finish the fundraising with the Buy a Brick program to get up to that $8,500 or the $9,000. So.
I wanted to thank you for putting this together. Roger had sent it to me this past week, and I'm glad that the Buy a Brick program will be revitalized. I think that it's good to have it in that area since there are so many activities and soccer and everything that goes on there. But I just, I do want people to know too that we have the playground right out here as well. And then I know the schools, of course, and then also I know that Legacy is putting in a big playground as well, but that's more to the north. And, not everyone will drive down there, but I know it's going to be open to the public too.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so, but, they kind of made it seem on the video like there's absolutely nothing, which is, a little exaggerated. But I do think it'll be great to have, down at the soccer field, it'll be great.
I really like the fact that for special needs kids,
Yeah.
my youngest stepson is blind. And, it is challenging for, kids with different abilities to be able to do things, like him. If his brother or sister was playing soccer, it would have been, really awesome for him to have something to do rather than just sit there and be like, are we done yet? So I really like, that we can have some specialized equipment for, that we don't have here. So I just hope you run with this and keep us updated.
Well,
thank you.
much. Yeah, so just keep praying that we will be able to be granted that opportunity.
Well, if there's anything we can do to support that, let us know.
Great, thank you, I appreciate it.
The Buy a Brick program.
Yeah, buy a brick.
Next item is matters from the Moriarty Edgewood School District Superintendent Teresa Salazar. Teresa, come on up.
How are you, Mayor? And
Pretty good.
Council members? Is Linda Burke not here?
No.
I just want to say that was an amazing event on Saturday with the expo and all the volunteers and the work that she did. I was like, oh gosh, there's no way people are going to be here till 3 o'clock. It was busy all day long. And we saw tons of people, and so I think it was good for the businesses and everybody involved. So it was a great success as being one of the vendors, I guess, that we would be called. But we got to reach out and see a lot of people that we wouldn't have normally been able to see. So they did a great job on that. I just wanted to share with you, I can't believe we only have 3 weeks of school left. It's May 1st. Some things that are going on that we have on our website, but if you know people, get out there. Kindergarten registration is starting next week already from the May 6th through the 10th, 8:30 to 3:30 at the 3 elementary schools. So anybody that you know that has someone that's going to turn 5 by September 1st, please send them our way. Graduation is a little bit different this year. It's on May 15th. It's a Wednesday. That weekend is track, baseball, and maybe softball state tournaments.
All the tournaments.
Yeah, so that our students didn't have to choose between walking in graduation and being a part of the state tournaments. We are having it on a Wednesday night. It's at 6 p.m. at the gym. All of you are cordially invited. We would love for you to come. If you would like to RSVP, we could get you tickets and reserve parking. So if you would like to come, please let me know, and we'll get you some seats. And watch our kids graduate. So
It's council night.
it's Wednesday, is it? I looked on the calendar and I didn't see. I was wondering about that. I didn't have it on my calendar, but the 15th is? Okay. Oh,
2
well.
weeks from tonight.
So, sorry about that. One of the things that we've been working on for the last 2 years is security, and I've kind of given you updates, but just to kind of give you a bit of the full picture of, each of the schools have submitted new safety plans and updated safety plans to the PED. In December, they've all been approved. So those have been updated based on new requirements, things that need to happen, new training that needed to happen. All the staff in the schools have been trained, again, refresher on safety, making sure that new staff and even people that have been here for a while, but some of the strategies have changed. And then next year, when doors open, we're going to have new doors and new security doors and buzzers and cameras, and procedures. So that's going to be happening. It's sad to say that we have to have those things, but there will be new procedures, new things happening, and we'll be working with our local law enforcement so that they know our new procedures, what's going on, how they can enter the building if there's an emergency, and those type of procedures. So we'll be working on that. It is budget season. I know that you've heard a lot of hype in the news with the legislature. Yeah, it's not that great. It's not the moonshot. We're kind of working on the foundational levels. We truly are, and I've been in several meetings, and it's across the state, is working on salary schedules and trying to get the minimums met. They're significant. In districts like Moriarty, Edgewood School District, it's been significant because over the last 15 years, we've had to be, if it wasn't mandated, they didn't get the salary raise, or if certain groups would get salary raises and other groups wouldn't get it. So there would be, the salary schedules are really compressed. It's like they'd get $1 a year raise. So we're trying to fix those. It is time consuming because it literally is, you're taking every single salary schedule, every single line item, and having to touch every one of those. But we're wanting to make sure that our 460 employees that we have are making a living wage, and that we're competitive. So that's what we continue to work on. We will be pumping $2 million more into our economy in our little valley here. So we're excited about that because that just helps everyone. That helps our businesses, that helps our tax base, that helps our employees and the wellness of our families. So we're excited about that. Other than that, I think that's about it. It's just we're going a million miles an hour, and kind of like those little ducks, hopefully, that we look calm on the top, but our little legs are just paddling away. So I won't keep you any longer. I hope that you all have a good May. I know that I'm working with Juan to get flyers out to our kids about summer programs that are going on so that everybody is working, kids are entertained and have something to do. One thing that we are going to be advertising to our students is we're going to be doing a video production camp for 66, Moriarty's having its 66th birthday on Route 66, and so we are combining having teachers work with kids on film production and doing a little history lesson. They'll be able to, we have a local historian that's going to be going with them on a day field trip to the different historical sites on Route 66 so they can do videos and capture some of those things, and then developing a 66-second video to put into the film festival. So it's very exciting. So there's some cool things happening. So trying to get these kids still not sitting in front of the TV this summer. So that's where.
Couple questions for you.
Yes.
We had our budget workshop here today, and got some complaints on some stuff here. We need to get a hold of Lincoln and have him come up here, and Juan knows what they are.
Okay, great.
Got several things that need looked at, so if he could be dispatched up here or something so Juan can take him through it.
That would be great. I'll just get him to come and give you a holler, and you can set up a
Yeah.
meeting. So it's better if you could see it.
Right. Council have any questions for Ms. Salazar?
Just a comment I wanted to add to what you said about, the funding that not being all that great. It seemed to be spun a lot in the media that it was this huge amount. But if you factor in cost of living, you don't even get back to, I think, 2009, 2008, 2009 levels.
That's
so
right.
that funding is just barely getting us back to there. And
Yeah, we're
I don't
not
think
giving anything extra.
Right.
It's exactly, you're exactly right, Audrey.
Right. So I don't know that the judicial will decide that that is sufficient. But anyway, just so people kind of keep it in perspective, all of the difficulties we've been through in the past 10 years with education funding, I mean, it's been rough. And this barely, I mean, this doesn't even get us to today's dollars.
We
So-
aren't even able to put all the positions back that we've had to cut over the years. We're,
Right.
just even class sizes. We're trying to get class sizes back to the requirements, that we have different places that have class sizes that are still over. And it shouldn't be that way. And they're not going to be doing waivers anymore. One of the things that I didn't mention is you may have heard and seen surveys about the K-5 plus, where it's an extra 25 days of the year in the extended learning. The Moretti Edgewood School District opted not to do that this year. It was way too quick of a turnaround. We needed to get community input. We needed to get families in. We're not going to be telling people that you're going to be bringing your children to school, July 5th to June 15th without some community input and them understanding what the purpose is and why we're doing that. So we did opt out of both of those programs, and it's not because we don't think that they're excellent programs, but we want to do it right if we're going to do it, and we think that that's going to take having community meetings and getting their input and buy-in for that, because some people may not want that for their students, and we sure as heck don't want to be running teachers and kids to other school districts as it is. So it needs to be very conscious and well planned. So we are doing a planning year next year with the extended learning and looking at that, but just if you hear that out there, that's what we chose specifically not to do that, just because of the short turnaround, and there's a lot of districts that are doing the same. So.
And not to mention that that funding is not guaranteed to be here in future years, right? So you would start all this program, make all these changes, hire all these people, or extend their contracts, and then, 2 years from now when oil and gas drops, then we don't have the money. Where is it going to come from? Legislature can't promise that money to be there, so I think you guys were wise
There's
to
way
just,
too many strings and not enough money. We had too many things, we couldn't, our operational budget could not support errors in the state's calculations of that, oh yeah, it'll fund it, go ahead and do it. It's like, we don't have that luxury of a huge cash balance that if their calculations are wrong, that we were going to be able to make up the difference. So we're playing it safe and making sure that our community's involved in the decision-making of that. So.
And then one last thing, sorry guys, I did see Teresa over here for the event on Saturday, and I just kind of let her know that, with looking for things for kids to do, that we may want to use the building to the south. But really, I'm kind of curious too what the board wants to do with that building in long term. And I don't think there's been any decisions made on their part at all yet, other than it's in the plan, right? The long range plan to knock it down. But that is something that I think, we're just kind of curious about, so that both of us, both entities could kind of plan things long term. In the meantime, we can use facility usage agreements, right?
Absolutely.
So, it's available to us for now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is amazing how often it's used. I mean, every night of the week, there's something in it. And there's church services on the weekends. I don't know if it's soccer or baseball or somebody, they're playing in it all year round. And it's, I really actually didn't even know it until they were telling me the other day that they had to turn somebody away because it's already, there's people kind of jockeying for position. It's like, no, you can't do all of next year already. You have to wait until the next fiscal year. And so we're trying to, organize that and keep it going. But anytime that, we're more than happy to partner with you on that. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is public comment. First up, we have Krista Cato. You've already given yours. Next would be Ken Johnston, Coyote Crossing Estates.
Mayor, council members, I'll try and be brief. Most of all, I want to help educate myself a little bit and just make a statement. I am advocating for hoping that the road on Horton, right off of Camino Coyote, will be repaved. I don't know if that's in the works or it's not. I don't have the education to say one way or the other. So if that is happening, one, I want to say thank you. If it's not happening, I just want to say part of the reason that I chose to move into Edgewood, into that specific neighborhood, was because it was paved roads all the way in. I look for a lot of convenience in my life. Just like Chief Crow, I work as a police officer, I work for the Albuquerque Police Department. Convenience is a huge part of my life. So if there's anything education-wise that I can be directed to know if that is happening, what I can do to help advocate for that. I want to make sure that I'm following rules. I don't want to be a pain for anybody, but I do want to advocate properly if it's possible.
We were just talking it today there at the budget. It's on track to get chip sealed some point this year. We've reached out to Santa Fe County to maybe help us because they've got a rig that can lay down the chip seal and stuff.
Awesome.
Getting to contractors, private contractors that could work on it. Apparently it's not as easy as we thought it would be.
Correct.
They had a guy that basically committed to the effort, and then he got busy, and last time our man talked to him, he says, I'm too busy, I can't come up that way.
Okay.
So we're reaching every direction we can to find a solution, but we're on track to get it taken care of sometime this warm weather season.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Mayor and council members. And just with the weather we've had, I love rain, I love snow. It does make that hill going down to the neighborhood a little treacherous, but I appreciate your efforts, and if there's anything that I can do, I'm willing to stick around for a while, talk with any one of the people here that I just don't want to bother the wrong person.
Find an available contractor that's decent price. No.
I'll see what I can do.
No.
I have one question.
Yeah.
I have one question. Have we gone out for RFP on this, and do we need to?
Mayor, council, at this time, we do not. Depending on what the bids come in at, it might determine that, but if it's under 60,000, as long as we have 3 written quotes, we're okay. If it's with the county, as long as we can get an agreement with them, we're okay there as well. So it just depends. If we're going the route of a contractor with the quotes, then we'll just, depending on what it costs us to put down, if it's over 60,000, then we'll have to go out. If it's not over 60,000, then we can do it based off of quotes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Next up is Louis Abraham.
Mayor, council, wasn't planning on coming up here tonight, but then I realized how depressing that would be for you. I had contacted or sent a letter into the town concerning dilapidated properties and things like that, and as a private citizen, I was told that a budget adjustment was needed, and I don't see how that had anything to do with a private citizen, but I would like to see where the money was spent on that department this year, what was done this year, and then go forward from there as far as what type of money you would need to do the types of things that the town needs, because there's properties everywhere that are falling down. When the winds blow, the pieces fly, metal, tin, wood. There's garbage stacked in a lot of these properties that hadn't been picked up for years, and just some buildings need to come down. So I am requesting that you consider the budget increase for that so that this can get done. It's a black eye on the town. But also on the part of the budget, the switching of this morning's meeting, again, where the public who work can't be here. And you see they didn't show up tonight because they have no idea what's going on. It looks like another step in trying to keep from the public what's going on so that you don't have any naysayers sitting in the crowd.
We had people there this morning, and we've also got it on our agenda tonight.
It wasn't till when that you decided it was going to actually get done. I mean, the meeting, this publication should have been out several days before today so people would know you were going to be voting on certain items. And if there was anybody that was concerned and knew, I think they would be here tonight, and they're not here because of lack of proper notification.
Well, we had public here today.
Didn't make it this evening, but that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak who didn't sign up? Okay, seeing none. Next item then is matters from counselors. Counselor Harmeal.
Just a couple of things. Seeing the funding come through for youth programs was very exciting. I'm really excited about that. But I did want to ask, and I don't know how to approach this really, but I think the way I see it, there's two paths to figuring out programming, if you want to call it that, or events, or whatever it turns out to be. We could have a subcommittee like the town used to have, and I brought that up earlier today. Or, I mean, it's possible that things could just be brought to council, whether it's through the library or through community members, or, you know, just ideas, and then council just decides what we want to do. I mean, without the whole, you know, deal with a subcommittee. But one way or another, I think there needs to be some organization, because what I'm hearing is there's all these different people with all these different ideas, including myself, but we need some organized way of bringing that to council in determination of how to spend the money. And so I guess, you know, I'm open and flexible, but I think before too long, we probably want to get that going, because summer is almost upon us. So I don't know, Mayor, what should we do from here as far as, do we need to get something on the next agenda? Do we need to set up subcommittee? I mean, I'm just kind of wondering what we need to do here about it.
To gather ideas?
Yeah, basically to gather ideas for programming or, you know, events, whatever they may be, and present to council those requests. I mean, I think that's the only way to really do it.
Well, so the shortest way would be to just bring them to council, since we already got council here. We don't have to set up subcommittee.
Right, I was thinking that could be a way of doing it.
The other thing would be to, if you want to put something on the agenda for a future meeting, what would you want to title it?
Youth programming, probably.
Then have them bring their ideas in.
Okay, we can do that. That's a good idea. Okay, so we'll have them come here to that meeting and bring ideas, and I'm sure that Andrea will have ideas as well. I know she had, you know, a big stack of things earlier today that we couldn't get into. We didn't have the time to get into all that, but all right, great. So there's that, and then I just wanted to say about the budget workshop. I thought it was great. Again, I liked last year too how everybody presented in the departments. We're able to hear from leadership and the recommended budgets, and, you know, kind of a little bit about last year and the vision for this coming year. And we did have 4 members of the public here, which I thought was great as well. So I think that is helpful. And I know at the last meeting is when we decided to do it this way, to have the budget workshop in the morning and during the day, and then again tonight have the open meeting, so anyone wanted to, you know, hear about it. And then I know it'll be on future agendas too, right, Juan? So, because we didn't approve anything today. So all of that information is available. The only thing I would suggest for future years that could just be helpful for the community that does work is just to record the workshop and put it online as well. So maybe we could do that next year. That's all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Counselor Abraham.
Okay, so I spent 2 days up in Santa Fe last week at a advanced Molly training class. And it was really, sometimes you go to those and you get a little out of them, this one was really awesome. It was just really inspired me to come back and have a whole new outlook on things. The first day was training on the Governmental Conduct Act, and then we had a round table where just everybody sat and kind of threw ideas out there, and we talked about those, and some were good, some were bad, some were, horrible. And then, but the next day was called Building Better Communities. And it was all about how can we, as leaders, get our public involved in creating a future, a vision for your community, whether it be youth or trails or whatever. And I know we just went through the comprehensive update plan, but this was talking more about especially youth. He said, what you need to do is you need to go to where they are. Don't invite them to where you are. Go to where they are. Sit down with them. Don't talk. Just listen. And so I think, that was really inspiring to me, especially when you talk about teens or preteens. It's really hard to get them to engage with you, And he had some really great ideas, some good examples. While up there, I talked to, Santa Fe is building that brand new community rec center in the southern portion of Santa Fe. And they said for 3 years they've been in the planning, fundraising, all that kind of stuff. They're ready to break ground now. But some of the things they did, they had youth summits. Their mayor had youth summits. And they went to where the kids were and said, what do we want? And she said, we were totally surprised. We weren't thinking about, there are kids out there who need a place to do laundry. Things like that. We think of sports and we think of fun things. She's like, there are kids out there who need just very basic needs met. And I think sometimes we forget that. And so it was just really inspiring, and I really loved it, and it was one of the best conferences I've been to in a long time. So I just want to say it was good.
Thank you. Counselor Abrams.
I don't have a whole heck of a lot tonight. I kind of want to talk for just a second about an experience of mine sitting on council once upon a long time ago. I was once accused of not walking the walk and not talking the talk when it comes to energy efficiency and that kind of thing. Well, that's all changed. In the last week, over the last actually 3-4 months, I've completely 100% solarized my house. And now I'm driving an electric vehicle. So that can no longer be said. I am walking the walk and driving the car too. And I guess this is probably the moment for the release of the manifesto, but I would really like to solarize this town. And I'm not talking about the council chambers or animal control or the police department. I'm talking about everybody's house. And I'm going to see if I can bring forward some legislation here in the very near future that will allow everybody in the town a very economical way to do that. So I've been sort of hinting that there was something coming. I've been working on this for a while. There were bills that were passed in the state and in several communities and counties. Santa Fe County was one of them, Bernalillo County, the city of Santa Fe, the city of Albuquerque, the city of Rio Rancho, and the town of Edgewood all passed resolutions joining into a funding model that the state has approved to allow bonding and basically self-bonding for homeowners. Problem was that in late 2007, early 2008, there was an economic crash that had something to do with the housing industry. That crash and the housing industry problems sent Robert Geithner to the Senate to try and kill the bill that would have allowed FHA and VA loan holders to become part of the program. And it basically killed the whole thing. Now, the laws are on the books. State law is there. We are a part of it. But in order for us to bond or self-fund a group of homeowners at the federal bonding rates, which are very low, it's lower than you can buy at a bank, we have to pass a bill. And I hope to have that bill before this body within the next 3 months. And what that will allow homeowners to do is find a contractor, put together a project, and fund their own solar at the bonding rate that the government is currently charging. In other words, the bonding rate that we get. That bonding would be for 20 to 25 years, and the cost to the homeowner would be very, very much less than an electric bill in most cases. So let's hope that we can get that together and hope that I can convince my colleagues that it's a good idea.
I thought you were going to come put solar on my house, but.
Can.
It's easy. Councilor Holly?
I want to thank our staff for putting on another fine event. This was the Easter Eggs Extravaganza on April 20th. And according to the chief, we had like 1,100 to 1,200 people there. It was a real fantastic turnout, and you guys, you had the day off on Friday, but you came back on Saturday and put on a good show. Thank you. I also wanted to remind folks about the gardening series that is going on at the DWI Memorial. We're getting toward the end of it. There's 2 more classes left on Thursday evenings from 5 to 7. So next Thursday, May 9th, there will be a disease plant diagnosis program, and it includes a component about composting. And then May 16th, they're going to be doing integrated pest management and beneficial insects. Tomorrow, actually, is those first 2 that I just mentioned, the 9th and the 16th, are at the DWI Memorial. Tomorrow, they will be having a hands-on workshop over at the Edgewood Community Garden, which is at the Senior Center. This workshop will be about irrigation. So if you're interested in doing something like that at your home, you'll have some good instructors there. The other thing that will be going on regarding Community Garden, they will be having a kickoff festival on Saturday, May 11th, from 11 to 1, and they encourage you to sign up for a free row in the Community Garden. So if that's something up your alley, make sure you get over there early on May 11th. There will be food and games and music, and it's a free event for the family. Finally, I wanted to let everyone know that I'll be having my quarterly citizens input meeting this Saturday from 10 o'clock until noon at the Edgewood Community Center. So I encourage you all to come out, and we'll have time to talk and visit and, bring your questions, concerns, and ideas. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. Next item then is matters from the clerk treasurer, Mr. Torres.
Mayor, Council, so Carla and I attended the clerk school in Ruidoso 2 weeks ago. The big takeaway from that was they called it the election tune-up. The previous year it was the Local Election Act. So it cleaned up a bunch of items, still left a bunch of things unanswered. One of the things it got rid of was, since it got rid of our local municipal election code, it also got rid of the requirement for organizational meetings. So little things like that. So it's like do we even hold those anymore? You know, it's not required by law, so I imagine there's going to be a cleanup to the cleanup next year. One of the things that they did change this year was when they passed the first local election act, they told all the municipalities who opted in about the cost savings, because we would then be billed just based upon our general fund budget, a certain amount per $1 million of general fund budget. That is no longer the case. Now we are going to be assessed actual cost by the county, and what that is, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to say, okay, the schools, the soil conservation, everyone who's on there, here's divided up, here it is, here's how many questions you have. I mean, I don't know how they're actually going to assess that, so just be aware of that, and I guess we'll find out later this year what the assessment is, if we're even assessed, because we don't have anything on, we don't have an election scheduled. Now, with that being said, that brings up something that I brought up in the council workshop this morning for the budget. In 2014, the governing body authorized and went to election for a GO bond for roads. Somehow, from the ordinance that the governing body passed to the wording on the ballot, Horton Road became very specific to just 1 mile. When we completed the project, we have $400,000 left in there. We're trying to find a way to allow us to repurpose that funding, so it looks like it's going to have to be in the form of a question to the voters to reauthorize us to use that funding. So it wouldn't increase anything. The money's already there. It's just sitting in an escrow account, waiting until it's callable and we can apply it towards the debt service, or once again, we can put it to the voters to allow us to use it on Horton Road, to kind of match what the original ordinance language was. So as soon as I find out more about that, I'll bring that to you. So the other part of that is I'm not sure if we're going to have enough time this year to put it on the normal election. I don't know what the schedule and what the requirements are from the states. If we have to have stuff in by July, by June, they're still working on their calendar for when we need to have stuff to them. So that's going to depend on Secretary of State. They told us at clerk school, once they have a completed calendar, they'll contact all the municipal clerks and let us know, but I have not heard that yet. The other one thing they did say is, so even if we don't have an election that year, we don't have anything on there, we always now have the option of putting a question on. So if it's just during the general election, presidential, gubernatorial, we can still put stuff in even year elections questions. The only caveat to that is if we force the ballot to go to a second page, we have to pay for that second page. And then just once again, like to thank governing body, staff, everyone, this public who came out this morning for the budget workshop. That was very nice, and I appreciate the input. It helps, and I think it really helps you guys in your decision making when you hear from the staff instead of just hearing from me. That way you hear it from them and their actual needs and wants, and hopefully we'll hear from the public tonight and possibly next meeting as well. Just get some input. And also for the public, if you have anything you'd want, you don't have to wait for the council meeting. By all means, come talk to us, give me a call, send me an email, let staff know if you've got some request, let us know. That's what we're here for. And that's all I have.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Mr. Torres, can we somehow or another put wording together for a ballot item, even if we don't know when the schedule is? I'd like to get the jump on this because, when I found out that we had an excess, the first thought was to go ahead and extend Horton, and then to find out, no, we can't, because the bonding language restricts us. It blew my mind. I couldn't, okay, it's Horton Road. Well, you have to do it between this point and this point. Well, okay, but, so I think we need to, if the question needs to be posed to the voters, please, let's get that done.
So, yes, Mayor Council, so we're working with RBC Capital Markets. They're the ones who helped us with it the first time around. we're working with them to figure out, it's all going through NMFA's bond council they're the ones who are going to let us know if we can do it or not. If we can, what they're saying our option is, then we would have to hire our own bond counsel to draft the ordinance, providing that legal language.
My understanding that Paul is no longer with.
Paul is no longer there, and I don't think it would take that much to do it. It's just getting the go-ahead from them. I mean, I guess we can press forward if that's the will of the council to, get something, start them drafting that language.
It's certainly not an agenda item, but if I would encourage you to at least pursue it as far as you can without the need for council action.
Okay.
At this point, and then bring it to us as quickly as possible if we need to take action. Because I think we need to do this. Paving Horton was great. Paving a little more of it would be even better, and getting the southern end of it dealt with is something that I thought we were going to do. I thought we were going to connect it to that deteriorating pavement that was there, but it never happened. So if we can get that whole loop done, that would be a huge thing. Or even, farther north too. What the heck? See what we can do with 400 grand.
And voters approved that in 2014, right?
Yes.
Yes, and the weird thing about this one, and I don't know how that would actually work on an election, so those who were just recently annexed in aren't paying that part of that bond because they didn't get a vote for it, so I don't really know how the mechanics of that would work as well election-wise, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, if we can get it on, we'll get it on. That's just one of the questions I kind of had as well, trying to figure out how that does work. But
Right, on the property taxes, it's easy enough to segregate them, but at the voting booth.
So,
It is an interesting.
and that's one of the things that RBC is trying to answer for us as well. If you didn't get a vote on it the first time, can you vote on it now? Because you're not paying on it. And those who are paying on it are. So there's two different tax assessments in the town.
Yep.
Was it bond council that wrote that for the ballot?
Yes.
Okay. Darn it.
And my recollection is that there was some confusion about the wording at the time. And the wording came back a couple of different times, and then it went to the ballot, and it was different on the ballot than it was reported to us, so I don't know.
Ordinance, yeah.
I don't know how that switch up got done, but it did, and here we are.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the next item then matters from the mayor. I got a couple things. On Monday, the 29th, we went over here to the ribbon cutting grand opening at the First Choice, and it was pretty well attended. We had a lot of people from Santa Fe County were there, Bernalillo County. We had a representative from the governor's office. We had a representative here from USDA, the WIC program, and very, like I say, pretty well attended. One thing was unusual about it, there was no ribbon cut. And the reason there wasn't any ribbon cut is because it's an active working clinic now, and they didn't want to get in the way of people coming in and out of there. So they gave us little tours instead, and it was fairly busy. That's a good facility. Let your friends know about it. It's up and going, and the talk of nearly everybody there from First Choice was they've got that done, now they want to do something else. So hopefully something else will be sprouting up there soon enough. The old building up the corner there is probably going to be transformed for that mental health or behavioral health center. And they figured maybe it's about a year out. So it's going to have to be rehabbed a little bit and some work done to it, and then they've got to get people lined up to put into it and everything. First Choice has not done that before. That's something they're going to be kind of pioneering, but they're kind of excited to try it and see how it works. The other thing, council, that I have is we need to have another refresher update from a parliamentarian. And so I'm looking for a date when we might could do that. Amelia's talked to the gentleman we had here a couple years ago, and sometime in June or July is pretty good for him. We'd want to do another joint session with P&Z. So kind of be looking out your June, July calendars and see what would be suitable for a training session with the parliamentarian. I also wanted to speak about this morning's budget workshop. It was pretty well attended. I've been to those in years past where I was the only person from the public there. So I think the response I saw today was gratifying. I mean, people coming out like they did today, that's different than what I'm used to from the past. And again, we've got it on the agenda here tonight for any follow-up with the public. So I think we've done pretty good on that. That's all I have. So the next item then will be action items. And the first item up, discussion, consideration, action on hiring Karina Christensen as the Parks and Rec Administrator. Council, you have before you Ms. Christensen's employment application and her resume. Christina, why don't you come on up here or Karina, come on up here and introduce yourself and tell us a little something about yourself.
Mayor, councilors, it's nice to meet you tonight. My name is Karina. I just graduated from the University of New Mexico, School of Architecture and Planning in 2016. I majored in environmental planning and design with concentration in community regional planning. While at UNM, I worked on a project in the Carnaway land grant community. I helped build a campground for them that we actually fully hand fabricated with a budget of $1,000, and also did a lot of erosion, slope, and all kinds of stuff to help give that little community just one thing that they could have to go to, and they use it for Logic graduation, so it gets used. So that's nice to see. I've lived in Edgewood almost my whole life. I went to the Moriarty High School. I graduated in 2013, and I think I have a lot of good ideas, and I like hearing. I've heard a lot so far, and going to one of the other advisory board meetings for Parks and Recreation, I heard a lot of ideas. So I think I see a lot of potential and a lot of great things already happening with the Kaboom project they're talking about. So it's nice to meet you all tonight.
Councilors, you have any questions for Karina?
Just guess you know you have big shoes to fill, right?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion then.
Well, I guess I'll step up and make a motion to approve Karina Christensen as the Parks and Recreation Administrator for the town of Edgewood.
Got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded to approve the hiring of Karina Christensen as Parks and Recreation Administrator for the town of Edgewood. Let's do this on a roll call vote. Start here with Councilor Holly.
Aye.
Councilor Abrams.
Aye.
Councilor Abraham.
Aye.
Councilor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Welcome aboard, Karina.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
The next item is discussion, consideration, action on issuing an RFP for professional services to plan and design improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, lift station, and reuse system. Carla, you want to speak to this one?
Sure. Last council meeting, I asked for you to authorize an RFP for designing improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, lift station, and reuse system. And you asked to see the RFP itself. The RFP is in your packet tonight, and I'm once again asking for you to authorize the RFP.
Barring any discussion, I'll make a motion to authorize the RFP for professional services to plan and design improvements for the wastewater treatment plant, lift station, and reuse system.
Got a second?
I'll second the motion.
Need any other discussion or any questions for Ms. Salazar?
I have some questions here. So exactly what is, I see, we're looking for acquisition of right-of-way, right-of-way survey, easement survey, and exactly where is this going to take place at?
Well, I have to tell you, because it's Clean Water Revolving Loan Fund money, I checked every box, because if I don't check it and something comes up, then I can't use the money for it. So I don't anticipate a lot of those things, but I clicked almost everything to be safe. This project is taking place at the wastewater treatment plant itself, at the first lift station on Church, and those are the two locations. So I don't anticipate any right-of-way, and I don't anticipate any easements, but I checked the box to be safe.
This is sort of like the Horton Road debacle?
Well, a little bit. I checked everything to make sure.
Instead of saying just between here and here, we say Horton Road, and then put it where we need it.
But the only two locations in this project would be the lift station and the wastewater treatment plant itself.
Right.
I do have a question. You guys have the veterans certification preference. Do you also have the New Mexico resident business as
Do
well?
not, and am prohibited from doing so when we use federal funds, and these are funds coming from the EPA, managed through the state of New Mexico.
Okay.
So I'm not allowed to use an in-state preference, and I have to use a veteran's preference.
Okay, so it's because it's federally funded?
It's federally funded.
Okay.
They are a different beast than the state.
Mm-hmm.
And then who will be on the, you say here that there will be like a judging committee or whatever? Who will be on that?
I am also required to do interviews for this project, and that hasn't been decided yet.
No further questions, I'll ask for a vote. Counselor Abrams?
Aye.
Counselor Abraham?
Aye.
Counselor Jaramillo?
Aye.
Counselor Holly?
Aye.
Thank you, Counsel. Let's see. Get these two split up. Okay, the next one is discussion, consideration, action on Resolution 2019-09, authorizing and approving submission of a completed application for financial assistance and project approval to the New Mexico Finance Authority. Council, Ms. Salazar is also going to speak to this one.
Yes, they've opened up planning grants again this year after closing them last year. There's funding for them, so this is the first application of a few. All of these lead to getting a good capital assets plan in place, but this first one is to map and inventory basically the sewer system. We had a few concerns come up last year now that we're connecting people. We don't have as-built for all the sewer line in the ground, so this will give us an accurate and complete inventory of what is in the ground and where it is. And without speaking to specific issues, we ran into a line we didn't know was connected, and we don't know how it got there. And then when we were connecting two businesses, we thought they were going to have to connect to the manhole, and it turns out there were stub outs in the ground. And they were lucky to run into them. We didn't have it in any of our plans. They didn't have it in their plans. And had they not hit it, they would have to have gone further to connect than was actually necessary. So this will give us a complete and accurate map and inventory of our sewer line in the ground.
Any questions for Ms. Salazar?
think this is a good plan. Good idea to have as-built.
There will be more planning grants coming your way now that they've opened up this funding source.
I know the foibles of not having your as-built, believe me. So with that, I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-09, authorizing and approving the submission of a completed application for financial assistance and project approval to the New Mexico Finance Authority.
Got a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. Start down there, Counselor Abraham.
Aye.
Counselor Jaramillo.
Aye.
Counselor Holly.
Aye.
Counselor Abrams.
Aye.
Thank you, Counsel. That brings us to item D, discussion, consideration, action on resolution number 2009-19-10, audit approval. Mr. Torres.
Yes, Mayor, Council, sidebar real quick. I now know why we had that window tinting up there in the first place. So, no. What you have before you is a resolution accepting the approval of fiscal year 2018 audit. If you recall, last meeting, Harshwall and Company presented, and this is just the formal resolution accepting it.
I'll entertain a motion on this one.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to accept a resolution or approve resolution number 2019-10, acceptance and approval of the fiscal year 2018 audit with one correction down in the last paragraph, the therefore paragraph. We've got two does herebys, so we need to delete one of those.
Take one and, that's right. Maybe it was put in there for emphasis added.
Second with the removal of one does hereby.
All right, let's do a roll call vote on this one. Counselor Jaramillo?
Nay.
Counselor Holly?
Aye.
Counselor Abrams?
Aye.
Counselor Abraham?
Nay.
We have a tie vote. In that case, the mayor votes. Mayor votes aye. Thank you, council. That brings us to our next item, and that's our public meeting. Finish the discussion and consideration on the preparation of the Town of Edgewood 2019-20 fiscal year budget. How do you want to do this, Juan?
I think, Mayor, let's hear from the public if they have any ideas.
Anybody want to come up and speak to this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council staff. I appreciate being able to come and see the process this morning. I would like to say that the department heads all seem to be very capable and dedicated and creative. I'm very happy to see that. A couple of things have occurred to me. I observed that in terms of the capital funding, the outlay funds, the outcome of those can greatly affect the budget. In this case, if you had been denied the waste treatment funding, you probably would have had to go into the budget to make it up because it was essential that it be done in a certain time frame. With that, I think that it would be appropriate to at least acknowledge which capital outlays you were going after, including the ones that are not accepted as well as the ones that are accepted. Specifically, in the last capital outlay, there was a request for a very precise request for around $2.6 million with a very imprecise description. I would like to find out, it was the general wastewater system plant and collection. I would like to just get a little more information about what that was.
Yes, Mayor, Council, Mr. McGill, so That was the request, so taking the technical memo, the fixes recommended in there, just putting those requests in and requesting that for the plant, based off of that tech memo. And the language is basically taken off of our ICIP, and it's the language that they require when we write the ICIP.
Was this the original Dennis Engineering? Does this increase the capacity of the plant?
No.
Because listening to Mike Butler today, it sounded like he had that pretty much under control certainly in terms of the notices of violations. So I was not aware of additional needs of the plant. Can you just give me some sort of hint as to, is this new structures, new processes, new?
Yes, so if you recall, and I mean, the grit removal system, that's one of the things recommended in the tech memo, the screens.
The additional reuse pond?
Not the additional reuse pond, alternative disposal method. And that was, in the tech memo, was using the
Pivots.
Center pivots.
But Mike Butler described a system that's adequate this morning that they were going to do, that was also recommended in the original PER, which was a fixed sprinkler system in the ground. I don't understand how you can get $2.6 million out of what was recommended in those engineering studies. I take your word for it. I think there's a box there that you click, and it says, the public has been informed and is on board. And I want you to reconsider clicking that box, because there are some actual questions here. I also have, I think I have observed that you put the same thing in this year, the same amount. Is that for the same project, or is it a similar amount, $2.6 million for the waste system?
It's a similar amount. Actually, it's all based off of the ICIP, so that's why that checkbox is there. Last year we held 3 public meetings over ICIP to allow people to put their input. That's what our capital outlay requests are based off of.
Okay, that's terrific. But you didn't say what it was for. I'd like to know. I guess I can go research I will IPRA, the ICIP. That's what it takes to get this information.
Mr. McGill, it was off of, so the top 3 things in the ICIP this year were all wastewater treatment fixes. That's what the amount we requested, was adding those 3 together.
Okay, thank you. Very good. The second thing I would like to ask is, I'm not actually thrilled with that answer, but let me ask you this. Does that have anything to do with the collection system?
No.
Okay. The second thing I would like to ask is, I noticed that, and this is just my lack of understanding, but I noticed that you credited the wastewater, the plant, with the hookup fees for Dairy Queen and the community center and the police department. I didn't see where the police department and the community center would debited that amount in their budget. I presume that there's some other place, because I presume that in terms the construction cost of actually hooking up. I think in a previous meeting you used the amount $20,000. I didn't see that.
So that's part of what we take out of our professional service, out of finance and administration.
Okay. My third and last question is, there's a specific category for legal services. I was wondering, it looked to me like I was going to ask the question, is it possible that any of those legal services are under outside consulting or any other category?
All the legal services are
under legal services.
Legal
so what's
services.
there is what you get. I thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up.
Mayor and council, thank you. I don't have any specific budget items I wanted to comment on, but I do have some overall, maybe policy objectives that I would like for you to keep in mind. Excuse me, allergy season. I've heard a lot of talk lately of people are having second thoughts about our wastewater plant, and I can understand that. But the town made the decision back in 1999 to go down that road. They did that because they wanted Edgewood to have some autonomy over wastewater, because I think some people may not be aware that if you go solely on package plants and septic systems for your wastewater, the town really doesn't have a lot of planning input on that. And one of the reasons for incorporating the town in the first place was to get some autonomy from the state and from the county. The die was cast irrevocably, I believe, about 2004. And we have people in the commercial corridor who are now relying on that system. And I think that if you go back and add to that the recent survey that we did of the community of what people want, one of the things people want is they want good roads, and they want to add amenities that the town can provide, which I think is an important thing in a growing community. But I want to stress, can't stress too much, that you pay for those amenities with economic development. And it's very tempting to pick out drapes and window coverings and furniture for a new house, but you've got to put down a good foundation first. And when you're evaluating specific budget requests, I'm asking you to go for things that are going to grow the tax base so that you'll have more options in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next? Okay, seeing none, we'll move along to the next item, calendar review. Next regular council meeting will be May 15th, 2019. And council, this is for you guys too. Planning Commissioners Workshop will be Friday, May 31st at Mr. Cog downtown. And like it says, that even though it is a workshop for planning commissioners, Mr. Cog has extended the invitation to this workshop to members of the governing bodies as well.
What time?
I believe it is 9.
Is it 9 that morning?
It's a
Friday morning?
A day shop?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go this time, but it's a good
Mayor,
attend.
If they would like to go, I can register them. They just need to let me know.
So call Tanya if you want to sign up to go to it. Other than that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, council, if I may, so on the calendar review, would you like us to put a call for a public hearing for the wastewater ordinance to put in the exemption we talked about at the Friday workshop? Or do you want to have another workshop? What's your pleasure with that?
I think we could probably do that on the 15th. Because then that would put it a month out from that, basically.
In a call, okay.
The sooner we amend that, the better.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve, to adjourn. Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, council.
It's not even dark yet.
Until I start talking.
Was Will?
It's gone.
Yes.